Welcome, everybody, to episode 5 of the My Hero Academia, My Hero Analysis Beyond the My Hero Academia rewatch. It is a long name to say everything out, so I will try not to ever do that again. But I am Tom DeGrazia, and I am joined by Stephanie Bear and Steph Bear, which I just noticed that now. So how you doing today, Steph?
I'm doing all right. It's been actually a pretty good weekend so far. So how about you?
That's great. I'm doing okay as well. It's been a kind of hurried weekend. I actually got sleep last night, so I woke up late today. Yeah, it was good, but I mean, I feel like my body's not used to it. So like I was trying to acclimate to life again today. And like, I don't know, I posted on Instagram how like I started the coffee without putting the actual coffee in the coffee maker. So I had a nice thing of hot water this morning. But whatever. Anyway, that's a whole other side of things. But we're here to talk about My Hero Academia. And we have a good show lined up today. We have some interesting news as well. We've decided to put into plan something because we were actually in between season 1 and season 2. And we're going to be jumping into season 2 with technically 2 episodes, really an episode and a recap episode. And so we are going to be taking a break after this episode for a week because we have a major arc about to start. And we were discussing this like even weeks ago, where these episodes, I have a feeling where we're going to be talking about the festival, the sports festival. It's going to be jam-packed. So much stuff happens in every episode, in every scene of every episode, and it's a lot. We get a lot of backstory, a lot of this, a lot of that. So yeah, we're going to take a week in between, and we'll be coming back again for episode 6 on August 22nd. Yeah. Okay. All right. I am not ready on my end yet, which I should have been doing that. But I want to say hello to everybody that's joined up in the chat already. You see the articulator. Hello, Dan. Hello, Christy. And hello, James. And James says that he's on time this week. And Dan said, what a classy way to make tea. Yeah. I don't know if that's the right temperature, though, right? I'm not sure if brewed coffee is like, isn't tea supposed to be like seeped at a very specific temperature?
I don't know. I just boil it, so it works.
Me too. But I know that there are some people out there that are like major tea heads. Is that what you call tea people? I don't know either. Anyway, let's get into it. Episode 13.
I will say that this title I wasn't quite sure on, so maybe you can enlighten me on a little bit, because I was kind of like, okay, it's a great title, but I'm not sure where it's in reference to for this episode. But it kind of sums up the end of where we left off, which is, believe All Might's already sent Nomu through the ceiling.
Yep.
And so I have number 1, just All Might trying to bluff. And so he's standing there waiting and hoping that Tamura gets scared enough where he's going to leave. Yeah,
that does seem to be what it starts off at. Like we get that plus ultra moment again from All Might, which is awesome. I'll happily watch All Might being amazing time and time again. But yeah, then we kind of get him, which we, the audience, and Deku know he's bluffing, but no one else does. No. So everybody's like, All Might's got this well in hand. We can go take care of the stragglers or whatever else is happening.
And I realized that there's actually a scene before this, which is one of like the coolest ways of showing off some other side characters' powers. And I believe this is when there's a guy crawling around underneath the ground and he takes over poor Calamari, which I'm going to call him that till the day he goes away.
The day he goes away? Oh, no. That is a horrible thing to say. Jeez.
He's all right. Extra for me. So he's just like over circuited. And so the girls are trying to figure out what they're going to do, because they've obviously need to save him, but they're too far away for either of their powers to kind of make a difference, or at least so you think. But
so I love this. This is Jiro getting to show off like one of the things that she's so cool, because she's actively talking to this villain, just trying to keep his attention and maybe not let him on that, she's actually trying something else, but she's extending that earphone jack down to her boots so she can kind of fire off one of her blasts from across the way. And Momo says like, something cool. Oh yeah, about how Jiro can attack without moving. So
And then like she puts it like directly behind herself, even like it's not even like along the side until it actually gets down to where it needs to go. Maybe that's just an alteration into her costume where she'll be able to plug in no matter where, because that was kind of an offside.
Yeah, actually, that's a good call, right? If like she, ends up, because she's a sound-based hero, much like present Mike is, and like if he has that big collar piece, if she kind of wears something like that, that's more like a subwoofer for the rest of her costume. She could plug in there. I think she's been so used to at this point, I don't know, using them in her feet or something like that, that she needs to extend to other places. We'll see her add some alterations into her costume, but not quite. I think that's actually, you make a good point, because this villain picks up on what she's doing. And I think it's because, like, if I was staring at someone and I saw their ear dangle thing drop behind them or something, I would probably think something's up too.
Yeah. And I think, like, to Dan's point, like, this guy was actually a lot smarter than all the other people that were running around. And he seemed to be, they figured out that he's electrical type too, and that he was the one causing all the interference for the radio signals and everything.
I do want to know what's up with his skin, like why he's so bumpy, because I feel like usually when you have a hero or a villain that's been like, it's not quite human looking, it plays into their power a little bit, but nothing about those bumps really scream electric guy to me. But I don't know, maybe they're insulation. Who knows?
Thinking something conductive to help with like absorption, maybe.
Yeah, he doesn't have the fine tailors at UA to make him suits, so maybe he embedded whatever it is under his skin, which is a gross thing to think about.
Yep. And so he calls Jiro out on it, and they're kind of at a standstill after this moment, which I don't know.
Yeah.
This is more, speaking of like skin that's itchy. So
we were speaking. Okay, I was wondering where you're going from that with that, but I was like, oh yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody scratch this much either, because he was like going to town on this part. He does not know what's going on. Nomu's gone. He was supposed to be like foolproof basically on his count. And I almost feel bad for the warp guy during this time, because he's he's trying to figure out a way to like either escape or like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this anymore. And Tomorrow's like, no, we're going to power through basically.
Yeah. Kurogiri is definitely more like, let's cut our losses. Let's get out of here. And it's funny too, because in this course of these 3 episodes, we get to see them powered down back at like their villain base, and we hear the heroes talking about them too. And they make this great comparison to Tomorrow basically being a man-child. But when we see them go back to their base, Kurogiri is like in like a 3-piece suit. Like he like looks dapper as fuck from top to bottom.
Yes.
And you could tell he is the adult in this situation. So he just wants to, hey, we're not doing well. Let's just cut and run right now. We can come back later. But no, he's dealing with the man-child who is like, they're cheating, and he doesn't like cheaters, and scratching because he's stressed and all that stuff, and it's gross. But, I love that.
Yeah, and in his mind, this All Might is just the same as he has been on TV and everything, which does go to play to that as him being a child and not seeing his surroundings as well as other people. And he's just like, he's not weak at all. There's nothing going on. Again, Deku and us know that he's suffering, the smoke and everything going around, but Tomorrow is freaking out.
I also love the fact that Deku mentions the fact that he's like, he has that stuff that's similar to steam coming off him when he transforms. Okay, if it's not steam, what is it? I need to know what this weird mist that comes off of All Might when he goes from scrawny All Might to buff All Might actually is.
It reminds me of the Titans from Attack on Titan, because they transform, they let out all the steam.
That is heat, though. That is like totally heat, right?
Yeah, so maybe it's heat. Maybe it's something to do with body temperature.
Maybe it is actually steam, and Deku's like, I don't know. Why would he be steaming? He's a guy.
Yeah. And this is him going on about how he's bluffing, and he's kind of slowly, you can see his hair is not as like well done. He's slowly kind of
bleeding profusely from everywhere.
Yeah.
We know. I think it's pretty obvious that he's bluffing during this. But however, Tomorrow did enter this whole fray with someone who is supposed to be able to stand up to full-powered All Might, and that full-powered All Might just sent him to like what it looked like from their angle, the upper stratosphere. So maybe I would also be as like caught off guard as Tamora and not be able to see as clearly. Well, clearly he's bleeding. He's panting very heavily. There's steam-like substance coming off of him. All that energy, says James. And Dan also mentioned how it was like the Titans.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we can also talk about how James also said it was fart gas, but we don't really have to talk about that too.
Look at it.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, this is another game reference I assumed, because it's like the final stretch. In his mind, he thinks this is the end game, basically, and later on we find out that it's not. It's really just starting off like kind of like a movement is what his father figure wants to portray.
Yep. We see him say a couple of things that are very game-like here. The last boss, I think he says that All Might he must have used a cheat at some point. Yeah, a lot of stuff. This is Deku talking. Right?
Yeah. I wish they would change the color of the font for some people or something sometimes, because they can't hear it.
Well, I mean, I think when we're watching it, it's different because you clearly know Deku's voice versus like All Might's voice and stuff like that. But when you're calling back to it like this, it's just white text on the screen. Yeah. Oh, this is after the midpoint break.
Yeah.
This is the Invisible Girl talking.
Yeah. I think I skipped a bunch.
This might be out of order. I just pulled them in. So let's see. Yeah. Well, we can talk about this anyway. It happened in the episode. It doesn't have to be chronological.
This is when you find out that the poor Invisible Girl was hanging out with Todoroki that entire time, and he's this is like his face, like I almost froze her because he didn't see her because he wasn't aware. So.
Yep, he could have killed his teammate, but he didn't. And Dan also mentioned that it's no more ice face for Todoroki, which once again. They'll never tell us why he was so frozen up like that. Because throughout the course of this episode, the next time we see him, whatever, he doesn't have half of his body shrouded in ice. So I wish I knew why he was so frozen over.
And his eyes are blue, clearly, on that side, too.
Yeah, it ain't glowing red. Like, whatever that weird red laser eye was, it looked like Kano from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
James says that he unironically wants an Invisible Girl band Presto. I was thinking about a Nendo of her earlier today, and I'm like, how do they do that? Do they just include with somebody random floating gloves or something like that? I don't know how you would do it, but I would like to see them try.
I think there's a whole piece in here somewhere that's going to come up right after we see all this stuff, so it's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
This is just fan service for Dan too, because Ayama goes through this entire spiel of guessing where he was this entire time, because obviously we didn't see him, and he's pretty flashy to have seen, and so. Yeah.
I love that he keeps going up to group and group and group, like different groups, and like, where do you think I was? Where do you think I was?
And no one cares.
No one gives a shit.
No.
Because, they were almost killed. All of them were just almost killed. And he's like, but what about me? Dan, I really need to meet you in person one day so I can understand why Aoyama is your guy. But, hey, it's all right. This is all for Aoyama, huh? All for Dan?
Yep. There's a bunch of them. So each time. And he finally gets to Froppy, who actually acknowledges that he's like, "Oh yeah, where were you?"
It's a secret. I love that. I mean, poor Froppy. She has to deal with Mineta, then she has to deal with Aoyama. And she must be so done with this shit. I'm like, the girl has the patience of a saint, because she comes off still just wanting to be everybody's friend. Doesn't matter how dumb they are or whatever they're doing. They could be perverted or dumb. She's still call me Sue. Let's be friends.
Yeah, because she's great. We're going to go back. I think we did miss all the cool fighting stuff.
Well, we could talk about it. Because we do get basically Deku realizing that All Might's bluffing it. We see Tamura rush in because he's just going to go for it anyway, because Kirogiri mentions to him, he's like, oh no, clearly he's weaker. He's been weakened. He's, he took damage. He's bleeding. They zoom in on his wound, which was also bleeding. So Tomura rushes for him. Deku launches at light speed. We get more flapping legs, which are disgusting, as he goes to punch.
He broke both of them. That's how much he had force that he just like took off. So
Yep, it was the same thing when he went to go rescue Ochako. He broke both of his legs, just kind of like launching.
Like I'm gonna tell you this, like, because like Bakugo, notices it, and like he's just like, what? And everyone else just doesn't even paying attention to how fast he took off.
Yeah. Like, I think Bakugo because he doesn't know the extent of his power at this point either. He doesn't know that he has super speed. He just thinks he has like a strength quirk, which granted, if you ever read The Incredible Hulk, strength, you could put it in your legs and you could jump really far and fast. But it was a good moment where you because they even zoom in on Bakugo's face, like as he notices it, he's just like, what the hell? Because he's staring at the blank space where Deku just was. He's not looking at where Deku is because he can't follow him that quickly, but he's looking like, wait, he was just here and now he's not. And he's jumping in and he's about to deliver a blow to Kirigiri's neck. And then Kirigiri teleports Tomura from one side to the other, where he's just about to touch.
His hand, the hand goes through him. And it was really cool because it's it's coming to his face, and they have a really good moment of like Deku like freaking out. All Might freaking out because he can't do anything. He's just gonna watch the kid get blown up.
But then go ahead.
I don't know what the guy's name is. He's like,
no one knows his name. Are you kidding me? I doubt even Horikoshi knows his name. Like, they never use him ever.
But he's got like the weirdest power. He's a really good shot. He's like Hawkeye, basically. Like, he's got little guns and stuff like that. And this is another moment where, like, I was like, oh, they're serious with this, with the blood and everything. Because they shoot bullets through Tomura's hand. And it's just, like, instant, like, oh, everybody's here to save the day.
Yep. Tomura doesn't just get, like, a lot more transpires before this happens, but Tomura gets freaking fired at. Like, he gets shot between both, like, legs, his hand, both arms. Like, he gets gunned down pretty badly. Oh, is his name Snipe? Dan's saying his name is Snipe, which would make sense. I mean, that's so on the nose. But it's great because we have that moment where, all the heroes show up. We get to see, I think his name is Ectoplasm. It's not Ectoplasm, is it?
Whatever, like, spews out the clones of himself.
Yeah.
Like, super cool.
Love him. He has such a cool look to him. And we'll see him, like, we get to meet him a couple times throughout the course of the show. We'll get him a little bit later at the end of season 3, right?
I think so, yeah.
Or season 2.
Yeah. It's after the sports festival. It's like when they have like another test, I think, or something to that regard.
It's the finals. Yeah. It's right before the summer school. So it would be end of season 2. We'll get to see the ectoplasmic hero again, and he has a really cool looking power.
Yeah.
Who else dives into the fray?
President Mike. I have it written down with a big heart because I love him.
And it's like one of those things too, because we get to see him, especially going into what we're going to see in 2 weeks when we start off the sports festival. He has a very outgoing personality where they like to use him on the show to introduce heroes and introduce stuff. Like, he is the podcaster equivalent of a hero, right? Like, he is who you get on your shows to, be the talking head for things like that, to speak for the heroes. So we don't get to see him fight that often. But boy, do we get to see him just like unleash one bellowing, like, take out
everything. Oh, it's so cool.
It was a really cool moment. I think he does that first, and then the ectoplasmic guy sends
and then you have, like, I think each hero goes to a different area and saves the kids as they go along.
Because we don't see Vlad like do anything, but I know he's there. Same thing with Midnight. I know she's there, but I don't think she does anything.
I don't know what the other guy's name is either. The guy, it looks like a Digimon. Like, he has like the helmet on. He's like in the construction equipment.
Oh yeah, he does something. He saves the tail dude.
Ojiro, yeah. So it's like, but
you remember Ojiro's name? Okay, all right. Yeah, that was cool. I love seeing all the pros show up. I get to see one of my favorite pros, Cementos. He kind of saves All Might from being discovered, but that comes a little bit after this stuff. So we get that whole moment of them saving the day. We flash back to All Might and the Deku stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I forget who says it. I think it is the principal who says, like, can we trap them from across the way somehow? And 13 is like, oh, I'll do it. And 13 opens up their gloves and sucks them in. And you think that, you might actually be able to capture Kurogiri, but they teleport out in the nick of time pretty much.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool. And then we get back to this time now because it's all the kids outside talking about what they were doing and where they were at. And then the police officer
there is one moment that still happens before we get the kids separated out, and it's Kirishima wants to, because Deku is like laying lifeless on the ground. He broke both of his legs. His arm is still injured while his fingers are. They cut to each body part that's injured. And so we see Kirishima diving in to check on Deku. And this is also right after All Might. We get a good shot of All Might, who is split in half down the line. One half buff, the other half like melting down to scrawny All Might. And he looks awesome. And he is basically exclaiming to Deku that he saved his life. He's like, you saved my life pretty much because I wouldn't have been able to move. Because Deku's like, I couldn't do anything. And he's like, no, you did. That split second was all it needed to save my life. And so you think Kirishima was about to discover the secret of All Might, and Cementos builds a giant wall out of the nothingness.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because Cementos is a really cool hero with a really cool power.
And then, like, All Might's thanking him, and he just says, well, I'm your fan, too, so I'm not going to...
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cute. Yeah. So, then we go... Go ahead.
Cementos is the perfect Nendo looking. The way his face is and everything, he'd be so adorable in chibi form.
Yeah. And Christy says that is such an emotional moment for Deku, and I absolutely agree. And I also absolutely agree that Cementos would be a perfect Nendo. Good smile, you should make that Nendo. And that is all I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can pick up again, I think, with the screenshots now, because we kind of covered them being outside. That's what Cementos tells Kirishima. He's like, we're getting everybody outside because we need to account for everybody. Mm-hmm. This kid here is the only injured one of you guys, so we'll leave him there.
Yeah. And so they're recapping about who's not there. So obviously Aizawa's not there, and so they're interested in what's going on with him. And they were listing off like everything that was wrong with him. And this stuff like sounds like things that happen when you get hit by a car. Like, who gets facial fractures from stuff? Like, all of that going on.
Nomu did keep shoving his face into the pavement, like,
but it's just
over and over.
Oh, that's awful sound because it's like not quite broken, it's just shattered. And then that his eyes are going to be all messed up. But they made a screenshot to the wraps, and they said that was going to affect the way that those were all tattered up. So I was wondering if his eyes, if there's something that was part of those papers, that's why they move, is because they're part of his orbit. I
saw it differently because they did flash to the wraps being all bloodied. I honestly thought that would have been like if they just had a pool of blood to flash to, they would have. It's more like, hey, we're talking about this character. He's not here. We're not going to just show him dead in the bed anymore. We're going to show this object that's in the room while they're talking about him. Mm-hmm. And instead, we're just going to show that. I didn't see it as a correlation between the two things because we will see those wraps in use by another person at some point. And they don't have the same eye power that Aizawa has. So I think that there's just something weird about whatever material they're made out of, that and the magic of anime/manga that makes them come to life. So
that'd be cool though. And I think the next one's that's it right there.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, it's poor wraps.
Mm-hmm.
Those poor wraps. Not the guy who was wearing them. The poor wraps.
Yeah.
Yeah. His eyes might suffer from the side after effects. I feel like I know what those after effects are, but we don't really go into them in the show for like a long time.
Yeah. I think this is the next recap. So we missed after that, they talk about 13, who is lacerated on the back. So she's like ripped up all the way to the back. But they talk about her injuries like it's not really as serious. So they have her in bed without the suit on, which intrigued me. or him in bed without the suit on. So
did you notice that every time they mention 13, no pronouns are used?
Mm-hmm.
I was because anytime that 13 came up in conversation, because the kids ask about 13 specifically, and the cop who's answering the questions is like, instead of being like they are or he is or she is, 13 is doing fine. 13 will be okay again. And I'm like, God damn it, just give me an answer. Not that it matters, but I just want to know. It's curiosity.
Yeah, because they also go into meeting I don't write the cop guy's name down because it was long. So they kind of go over that relationship with All Might as well, where Deku like kind of freaks out that he comes in the room and knows that All Might's powered down, and they start talking and they realize they're old friends. So
Articulate says, but then we never see 13 again. I do think we will see 13 again later. That's it. That's all I can tell you. I do wish we had one screenshot to show, because it was one of my favorite cutaway to moments. Might be my favorite moment of the episode, when they show one of the other cops and the kids are totally expecting the dog, and it's a cat with a giant bell. I'm like, why wear the bell? Like, why the bell?
It was cute. There was also montage on the end with all of them. They go through all their screenshots and stuff because they show each character and how they're feeling as they're walking away from the day. And there was some really good images of each of the kids and stuff, including All Might's spiel about them aiding in this and how the villains did something dumb by allowing them to get the experience from fighting them this early.
I think that's at the start of episode 15, actually.
Is it? Perfect.
Yeah. That's the beginning of it. What we get at the end of this episode is Deku leaving the hospital. And, well, actually, we cut to the villains again first. And no, it's Deku leaving the hospital. Do we cut? Oh, no, we get the villains because we learn, the guy on the TV is talking. We don't know who it is. Kirigiri is dressed up to the nines while Tomura's on the ground still. Not getting him help at all, just laying on the ground. And I think this happens this episode. Let me see. Yeah, I don't think episode 15 has. Wait, episode 15? Yeah, episode 15 has the. Oh, okay. Never mind. I have it all written down. We have. Yeah, no, you're right. The villains did something dumb. That does happen here. You're absolutely right. It's when All Might is in bed. And he's talking to the cop. I apologize. Okay.
And then it kind of goes on about that, and that was one is this episode carries on. It kind of sums up everything, because this is the episode that ends the whole season. Basically, it kind of closes everything down, and I kind of like the way it starts the chapter for these kids. Actual okay, this is a taste of what you're going to be wanting to do. Let's move on from here, and All Might's thumbs up on the end too, saying that you guys are ready for this. You're going to be the best of the best, and it's very wholesome.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is when he's leaving the hospital, then Ochako and Ida are waiting for him, and he kind of gets that.
Sweet.
Yes, he gets that friendship thing. But what you don't see also too, I wrote this down in bold letters, is Bakugo is actually waiting for him. But Kirishima tell him, hey, we got to go and do this, and so he gets mad because he gets caught waiting at the window to see if he's okay too.
I didn't pick up on that. I just thought that, Kirishima was like, we got to go. And he's like, all right, fine. I know he yells at him pretty much.
Yeah, we yells at him for finding him there, actually contemplating and worried and looking up at the window where he would be at.
We also get a shot. I think the very last shot of season 1 is to a shadowy figure standing on the top of the roof, licking his lips. And we're going to be introduced next season to my favorite villain thus far in My Hero. Still to this day, actually. I mean, I like other villains, but this one's one of the coolest. Yeah. We also get a very iconic shot of UA, where we get that pullback and the sun is just coming up through the middle of those buildings that are shaped like a U. It's really cool. I think it's a good end, because I feel like, especially with anime, when you get a season that's only 12 or 13 episodes, it is more of a proof of concept kind of thing. It's like, hey, we okayed you for 12 episodes, 13 episodes. Let's see what you do during that time. And if it does really well, then we'll, bring you back for a second season. And what we will get is season 2 is twice as long. It's 25 episodes, I believe. I was expecting season 1 to be 25 episodes too. I think I forgot what had happened. And I was adding a note at the end of last week's episode. I was talking about hero names. That happens at the end of season 2 or middle of season 2. And I think I was just trying to like fill out what I thought was the rest of season 1. But yeah. So I thought it was a really good wrap up. They ended with we don't get the same ending credit sequence either. We get the opening music to kind of go with it. Some great animation of like kind of like the whole journey that Deku's been on, that kind of thing too. Which is funny that they do that, and then the next episode we're going to get is also a recap.
Yeah, it's all over again. But I think I really liked this as an ending because most times when you have ends of seasons, they kind of leave you on a cliffhanger, and this is kind of. It was well summed up. It kind of gave you a preview of something that's enticing, and yet it was a nice way to end the season.
Yep. Yeah, you have no idea what's going to happen with the kids to start off season 2. All we know is that there's another lurker in the distance, pretty much. And it's, that's it. That's all we get. We get a little taste like there is more, but we're not going to tell you anything about that just in case the show ends right here. Yeah. You got a whole journey. I'm so glad the show didn't end right there and we get what we're about to get. So that would be season 1. So I did want to ask you, do you have any like a major standout moment of season 1 as a whole?
As a whole? That's hard. Like we did it like each one.
I know. Oh. I feel like for you, if I could choose one for you, it's going to be when we get Bakugo's start line pretty much. It's like his whole change. That one episode even as like a whole thing.
I think it's just like it's almost like that talk that him and Deku finally get to have. Because you can always have that friend that you're growing up with and you both have something going on. You want to talk about it. You want to yell about it. And I actually think that is it's a big moment for both of them, but it's also a really well thought out and planned anime moment. So it kind of worked in everybody's favor. So I'll say that. There's also some big like pivotal story moments, but for me personally, that chat between the two characters was really good.
There's a lot of it was almost an impossible question because I didn't want to answer it myself. I just was wondering.
Now it's your turn.
Yeah, I don't think I can answer. No, I'll try. But there are so many individual character moments that make this first season of the show so alluring and what drew me in the first time I watched it. But it all centered around Deku, who kept getting stepped upon, like not stepped upon, like physically, but like spiritually in a lot of ways, where they're like, you can't be a hero, you're quirkless, you're this, you're that, yeah. And he gets this second chance. He's given a quirk. He necessarily doesn't even need one, is what All Might's telling him in the beginning, but he gives him this power, and we see him kind of get to go on this journey to become what he wants. But yet he knows, even if he's given this great power comes with such a devastating cost to himself, even. So it's like my favorite part of the season is just, honestly, it's Deku not stopping, no matter what happens. It's like when his finger breaks, when his arms and legs break, all that stuff, he gets right back up. And it's all those moments with All Might, who recognizes that there is something greater in this kid than whatever force is coming out of his fist. It all comes from up here and down here. It's those two things that make him what, we'll see in the next episode that we'll talk about in depth. Toshi does say, is like, God, you really are so much like me sometimes. And it's like, that is exactly it. Like, I think if I were in Deku's shoes, to have your hero tell you, like, you are so much like me, you're even apologizing for things you have no need to apologize for. Yeah. Like, it's I don't know, it's just it's a special moment, I think, between like this hero and this kid and his hero, his personal hero. Not just a hero, but his personal hero.
Yeah.
So,
and I really like that, like, All Might's apologizing for him because he gives him this quirk, doesn't teach him how to use it, is not being like very mentor-esque. He's just like basically thumbs up and go for it, kid. He's getting beat up, broken legs, flying in the wind, doing his thing, and he still feels grateful for every moment of it. Yeah. So, yeah.
And All Might is the worst sensei probably ever. Because, Jesus, if I was given something and he does say, oh, hey, your arms and legs might blow off. That's the only warning he gives him.
Uh-huh.
His arms and legs technically blow off multiple times just under the skin. His skin is what holds those things together, and that is it, because they are flapping in the skin. It's gross. But it's like, God, if I knew, if I were in All Might's position and knew that was a possibility, I'd be like, look, okay, I'm going to give you this hair maybe like a couple days before you're absolutely ready, so we can have like an hour or 2 hour training or something like that to kind of get you not to blow your legs off. But
me of like when Piccolo trains Gohan in Dragon Ball, where he just like beats the crap out of him, but at least he was told him, I'm going to beat the crap out of you instead of letting him do it.
But also, like, the thing about, if we're going to talk about Dragon Ball for a second, the difference is that Gohan has been a Saiyan or half Saiyan his whole life, so he's stronger than even Piccolo is, even though he's not like using that power at that time. So Piccolo, kicking his ass, but he also knows this kid, whether he knows it or not, he could take it, and he's actually become stronger after the fact, because that's just a Saiyan, right? They become stronger after they get close to death. But yeah, ridiculous. Let's talk about what's happening in the chat. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to go all the way back to Christy. Well, no, wait, we've got a couple. We have James talking about Toga. And then Eva joined in. Hey, Eva. And she says, James is so biased for Toga-chan. Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. Christy's laughing. Is that wrong? No, it's not wrong to like a homicidal high school girl. Christy wants a cosplayer.
I like a homicidal high school boy, so it's all right.
That's this side. That's absolutely true. Christy wants a cosplayer. Christy, that would be amazing. You'd make a great Toga. Blood is so cute. Okay, already got the trademark line now. Her murderous schoolgirl vibe looks so fun to dress as. Eva already has that murderous schoolgirl vibe, I think, in spades, too. Maybe you both should dress up as Toga. Yes, the judo flip. The flip was symbolic because it was kind of the point where okay, you're talking about favorite moment, Dan. That is a good moment.
It is.
Yeah, that is that pivotal moment, I think, where like Deku stands up to Bakugo for the very first time and actually, because he's not using his power or anything either. It's just pure like, I know you and I could use that against you. Kind of. It's where he started coming to his own and putting Bakugo beneath him in a way. And he wants to surpass Bakugo, but clearly he has a reverence for him. That is a great choice for moment of the season, Dan. James loves their dynamic, a true rivalry. Pure shonen, yes. Every shonen has a good rivalry. We got, let's see. Ichigo Ishida, Naruto Sasuke, Goku, Vegeta. I don't know who Ichigo Ishida is, actually.
Bleach.
Oh, okay. I never watched Bleach. There's two shonens I've never watched, and it's Bleach and One Piece. Mm-hmm. So that's
Bleach
where.
Is awesome.
Is it? Does it actually end? I thought I remember hearing that it doesn't actually end.
But it's like the first 2 seasons are worth a watch.
All right, and then arms and legs might indeed blow off. Deku, recovery girl was the only voice of reason. That shit. She was a great voice of reason through this entire season. Actually, I pulled Ayama. I've been here the whole time. How dare you? Hiding in plain sight. Bleach. Oh man, you'd love it. But if it doesn't end, how could I love it? Bleach is a great summer day lazy watch. Oh, that's surprising. Nah, he's got to see Rancor.
Yeah, sorry. It's Bleach stuff.
Okay.
We're going to talk more My Hero.
Yeah. All right. Well, so next episode is the start of season 2, but it is in true anime fashion. Just a recap of all season 1. So honestly, we're just going to kind of blow through it really quickly. We're not going to do the full in-depth nonsense because we don't really have to. Because we've been here before. It's only been 5 episodes of this show. We've covered this. So
you can just go we can go through.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going through.
I got your shirt too.
Oh, nice. I'm wearing it today. There we go. See, it finally paired up. I love this. I love this scene. I feel like they did add a couple extra stuff. Oh no, maybe it's the next episode where we get a little bit extra of Kid Deku. Get
I
a little
like
bit of
Yeah.
the episode's called Hero Notebook,
Mhm.
which is a really cute reference to Deku's notebook,
Mhm.
which is a cute reference to our notebooks. This guy's cool. Good
Mhm.
villain. All the villains. See a little bit of Sludge Monster. These are my favorite moments of the episode of the first season. Is anytime the kids get to like actually be kids.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite things about My Hero is anytime that there is like normal high school kid stuff happening, they get so excited because they're like, it's normal. Like, it's great. His closet is only that shirt. Thank you, Eva. Actually, I was showing Steph a whole bunch of new My Hero shirts I got today. And they all look just like this, a big square with a scene from My Hero on it.
I got all the pictures. They're cute.
These are amazingly terrible drawings. I love it. I respect it. Because I totally drew like that when I was a kid too. her proportions are amazing. It's so ridiculous.
And I like that he put, to put it simply, Ida is a fast runner. That's what he wrote down. It's like, really, dude?
Hey, you know, he's not wrong.
No.
Thoroughly squares lets him freeze.
And he drew him with the eye.
He did. Well, that's all he knew of him as, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great drawing of Froppy. Oh my god, poor Froppy. It doesn't. I'm surprised he doesn't say anything about the regurgitating stomach and the bile that's somewhat stingy.
And then Mineta.
Okay. Dan just said I dissed his art skills. I wonder what. Does he say that he draws like this too?
Oh, maybe.
Sorry.
I'm trying to keep up with it.
Hey, you know what though? This is a great drawing of Mineta.
Yeah.
It's quite perfect.
Mm-hmm. Great proportions.
Aizawa. So cool.
And then this was for All Might. He didn't draw him. He just had this image of his mind.
It's just, you know, in his mind's eye, it's All Might just wrapped in gold and like always shining and glistening. Oh, Dan, I hear you. When I draw, which is never anymore, that is exactly me. I went to college for drawing, and I never do it anymore. I love All Might in skinny form, wearing his baggy ass like buff form is just so mood. Love it. All the kids. So we get a little bit more of the villains. Great looks on these villains. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Hiragiri had such a cool look. It's like a smokestack coming out of a shirt.
It was awesome.
This is one of my favorite entrances to a villain is him crawling through the warp gate, because as we saw, clearly you don't have to like pull yourself through Kirigiri's warp gate. You'll be there. But he is very much like I'm as creepy as hell. I'm going to act kind of like a spider person and kind of like pull myself through. Kind of reminds me of Ragdoll from the DC universe, if anyone knows that character.
And they had like really cool graphics for like evil and shock.
Shock.
Yeah, and fear. That was the feelings. Oh, and then this was the great one for like had All Might and then his. I was like, oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, that is another good one. Gets to show his like gross, like chapped lips and everything. And then awesome All Might. All those brush strokes. That must have been a lot of fun for them to animate. Just kind of like, because all of that stuff's moving. It's like, so it must have been a lot of just like quick lines in succession. And God, I would like to be a fly on the wall of the animation studio at Bones for this. I love also seeing the multiple punches. When you freeze frame it like that, it really is like, here's an oval and another oval. But when you're watching it actually happen, it like looks really cool. And yeah, like what's happening with their limbs. It's great. What a great.
Fantastic.
So cool.
Oh, I was trying to get this one good because when he came down, like this effect of the dirt going up and like him getting ready to just power through was awesome.
Wow. One of my favorite moments of season 1 right here. We get to actually see him nail him right in the stomach. Is that actually the fist hitting him?
No, I think that's him going through the roof.
It is. You're right. I was trying to figure out what that was. I'm like, what are those lights? But I guess they're just like skylights.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, boom, boom. There's that half and half scene. Yeah.
So cool.
What a weird look, right? He's so scrawny on that one side. That arm is like dangling.
I'd take a Banpresto that any day because it's freaking awesome.
It's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, the kids all outside. Oh, look at I'm just staring blankly at the floor.
I was waiting for someone to catch that.
So creepy. What a creep. UA Sports Festival, which is bigger than the Olympics.
Yes, but which made me laugh. And I'm like, why would the Olympics go away? Then I realized they'll have quirks, so it doesn't make anything fair.
Exactly. You got to have something to replace it because I can see them doing the thing like same thing kind of in terms of like modern day sports where like, okay, we have all these, muscle enhancers that people can use if they want, but it's considered cheating clearly in sports. So it's very old school in that way. Not old school, but it not using today's technology in terms of helping out like performance. So in a world where quirks are prevalent, I could see the Olympic organization getting together like, no quirks, and then all of a sudden them kind of fading out into becoming nothing in the eyes of people because they want to see this big bombast, throw quirks everywhere kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a good shot of Deku. Fight to win.
And then,
a watercolor ending. I loved it.
This is the start of the next one. So
okay. So that's episode 14. Now we're on to episode 15. That's the idea, Ochako.
Mm-hmm.
I think we start with the glowing baby, don't we? Isn't that how the episode kicks off? I wrote that.
I skipped another recap because I was like, I can't do this again.
I love bringing up the glowing baby because I'm like, what a lame quirk to be the very first quirk to ever start. Like, I glow. No room's ever safe. What?
The kid who's turning pages in his textbook. I was like, that is just not.
I love that too because like we kind of get what could be Shoto's mom. We don't quite know if that's her or not, because we see like ice powers, and then you do get to see like the epitome of like probably the American take on quirks, which is like, I'm lazy, I have telekinesis, let me just read my comic without having to move at all. Because like his head is even like drooped to the side. It's just like it's just like the pages flipping. I love it. Yeah. It's so actual, like real. Like I embrace that mannerism of that kid so much. This is a crazy way to start, by the way.
I'm excited for this one. I forgot it came this early.
I forgot about this scene entirely. So I normally, whenever I do my rewatches, I've rewatched this show numerous times. I start right in the beginning of the sports festival. So I've watched the sports festival, I don't know how many times, but everything that comes before it, I've probably only seen twice before this. So this is like my third time ever seeing it. So I totally forgot about this future daydream Deku that we kind of get.
Yeah. Where he's like a complete and awesome badass.
Yeah, well, this is the first time we get to see something that he'll learn this season, like much later this season. And he stands up, and I kind of was looking at this scene and was like, okay, are there any villains here that I recognize? And I thought the guy all the way on the left, the big guy, was someone, but I'm thinking that he's too small to be who I'm thinking he is. So I think these are all just like throwaway villains or something for his mind. What's up, MJ? MJ just joined the chat.
Hey.
Oh, I love that too, where he actually gets to say, I am here now. Like, it's cool. It's just Deku being a badass.
I think I did this like screen by screen because it was so cool.
Good. It's totally worth it. There's that power that we get to see. It's cool.
They would have done a full body though of it, not like the skylight of the city or the skyline for reason.
I think they show it glowing from his legs up, and then they kind of show, just that. But it still looks really cool. And then this is him actually after he punches, right? This is like what we see is just this glow overtaking the globe. And we once again hear him talk about how he's going to become this is the story of how he becomes the greatest hero.
This is a really nice way to start. And then the new intro, which is like, this is my favorite intro, by the way.
Is Peace Sign your favorite song, or is it just the intro where them training is your favorite?
I think it's a little both. I really like the animation for it, and I really like the way it connects with the kids and everything going on, and just the characters in general, just showing them off on their own and how they're training and everything. And like, I like how they show like Todoroki and Bakugo a little more intense. And then you have Midoriya just kind of like doing his regular routine, his regular stretching with just like the hopefulness.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it just like it was fun. And then this last scene that I was able to capture, it was really, really cool.
So this song for this one is Peace Sign. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's up there with one of, like, it's in my top 3 of my favorite openings. I think my favorite opening is the one to come immediately after this, the second half of season 2. Because it kind of shows off a little bit of something Deku learns in a really good way that times well with the music and stuff like that. But I always loved good training montages, and that's kind of what this opening is with them doing the whole stretching and whatnot. It's just really cool, like these solitary moments of like Kirishima just kind of doing his like leg bends and kind of like stretching over and whatnot. It's really cool. I really like it a lot. It's like one I'm going to watch it from week to week. Like sometimes I'll skip the songs. When I'm rewatching stuff, I'll skip the openings sometimes, but probably won't with this one or the next thing to come because they're just so good.
Yeah.
So then we kind of kick off episode 15 after the song with all new stuff, although the future Deku is all new too.
Yes. And it kind of just introduces everything, like with the police reports going on, because this big thing happened, and you don't think about it that all the parents at home are like looking at these kids being attacked, not just their class, but they're looking at this school that's supposed to be safe, on lockdown, has All Might teaching there, and it's not safe. Yep. So it's kind of going through all that too.
It was funny because like when I was watching this and seeing this play up on the news, my only thought was like, oh my God, what is poor Midoriya's mom going through watching this stuff, seeing her son come home with broken bones numerous times, like almost every day he's been at school, he comes home with a broken bone, like, or fractured this or fractured that. Like,
yeah,
it's got to be tough on her. But I think is this the villain hangout?
Yeah. I like that it says welcome on the front.
Yeah, we don't normally get to see the front of it. We normally see like the alleyway with a sign of like the bar or whatnot.
I just like that they arrested 72 other villains besides like the main guys. That's a lot of bad guys that are in there just with those kids like running around. Yep.
Oh, one thing I will I want to bring up is the fact that I forgot we didn't talk about at the end of not last episode, the episode before, was that Tamura does recognize the fact that Deku moved as fast as All Might and seemed to have like a power similar to All Might's, and he recognizes the force that Midoriya might propose as like an opposal to what they're trying to do or opposing to them. It's like he sees him as a threat, and so like he becomes fixated on Midoriya in a way that I wouldn't have expected, because this kid, up to this point we've seen him, if he punches anything his arm explodes. So it's like, would you really be too worried about that? Apparently he sees him as a threat. So
I kind of see that kind of like how the whole man-child thing, which we'll get into, is that when you're a kid and you're deciding you're going to be the villain, you're going to want a rival, a hero to fight against. And so it's not going to be a Racerhead, and All Might is you want to destroy him. So you're going to want somebody to fight a different day. And I think Deku filled that little void in Tamura's crazy mind that maybe that's his greatest shot at having a really cool rival.
Yeah. And we'll see them interact in some interesting ways this season too, where I think we'll kind of get that to come to light a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This is All Might recounting with the teachers, right? A little bit.
He wrote a letter to somebody.
That's right. Oh, how could I forget? We get the letter to
his sensei.
Which all we get to see is fish cakes on the table until we get a little small cutaway, and you get to see this little old man dressed in all yellow with a yellow cape. Kind of looks like a Mega Man character more than anything else. He's adorable. He's cantankerous. And that's all the makings for a great character in my mind.
This is All Might like talking about Midoriya and how he's proud to have given his quirk down to him, and like, so you kind of get the idea that the sensei knows all about him as All Might from start to finish, and then how he's like recapping everything that's happened and what's going on, and how he might need his help later on.
Yet another recap. A recap after a recap after a recap ending, but we get, anime is rife with recaps. They want to make sure you remember all this stuff. We also get Toshinori's name here as well.
Mm-hmm.
However, I am still inexperienced as a teacher. Yeah, no shit, All Might. Yeah, shit. There he is. This old man. Love it. It's so, I don't know. There's something so funny about this guy. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about him later in the season, but I'm glad I forgot that this whole letter to him happened. And like also the reverence that All Might has for Deku, mm-hmm. even this character who I'm not going to name, even though I think everybody in the chat over there knows who he is. Mm-hmm. Like he even says the boy acknowledged by Toshinori, huh? Like, oh wow, like even All Might like acknowledges him. This kid might actually be worth something, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's great.
We get a new setup for the episodes too, which is really cool.
Yeah, I like that it's red and not yellow. My face isn't going to be glowing mm-hmm. yellow. So we get a little taste of Tamura as they talk about him after he invaded USJ.
I like that they don't have an age for him either. They're like, he's so mysterious and so off, like no charts, no blood types or whatever. They're talking about his history.
No, they can't, like, if they heard his name, they even discuss here that they're all possibly using pseudonyms and whatnot. So like nothing that they can get from them is going to be trustworthy at all. Yep. They're using false names. It's interesting that they're probably not citizens. I'm like, but if they're not citizens, what are they? I mean, I guess maybe they could be foreigners, but I don't know. They speak Japanese just fine.
Yeah. And this is, I think, All Might kind of talking about things that were going on and how he was trying to break down Tamura's way of thinking and his explanation of how he's a man-child.
I love it. This whole thing was basically to him to be like, yeah, and he's, a man-child. They said man-child in reference to Tamura. I don't know how many times. It was perfect.
Yeah. I think my favorite is when the principal starts saying it.
Yes. That was good.
Just about how he's,
bragging on Momu. That's something a man-child totally would do. Because he was upset that things, visibly upset when things didn't go his way. Like that is the definition, I think, of a man-child pretty much. Like they have the idea of how things need to go, and if they don't go that way, then throw all hell to the wall. Like it's over. The world's over. Yep.
I just like the thinking and like the round table, like consensus meetings at the school. Let's talk about this attack and like break it down like we're actually like in the Justice League.
And also that their table's shaped like a U, because everything has to be either shaped like a U or an A, depending on which angle you look at it from.
Mm-hmm.
His little paws, they're so cute. Yep. It was foolish to throw away the advantage of having unknown quirks. It's true. However, the thing with the Nomus is like, they're just going to keep surprising you, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All of this stuff. They are really serving Tamura during this roundtable. I love it.
I like that he's very precise, because I always think of All Might as being like kind of carefree and like not think, and like I like his actual like thought process on this like surprised me. I don't remember this part of his personality.
Yeah, we don't see this of him that often, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like his analytical side.
Yeah, which is really cool, because you don't usually see that with the muscular kind of symbol of peace kind of heroes.
Chef Toyardi makes a really good point. He says, I think it's based off a census. They aren't in the system, hence not citizens. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. I just filled out my census like yesterday. So
They have to register their quirks, I think, right? Isn't that how they work?
Yes, they're supposed to, yeah.
Yeah.
But not everybody has quirks, so that doesn't mean,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't necessarily mean anything. There we go. The picture I get of Shigaraki is someone who hasn't got rid of his childish sense of omnipotence. A child with power. It was Vlad and Midnight.
That's his definition of everything, and then it just like, no, a man-child. But no.
I mean, the detective makes a great point. He's like, the problem is how they all agreed with the man-child and followed him.
Yeah. 72 villains.
7? That's huge.
Yeah, and I like the coming from a principal, an actual teacher, that he realizes that someone must be behind the scenes teaching these villains how to be villains. Like in his mind, he's like, oh, they're just like our students. They're not actually like just random people.
He still has room to grow as well. So, and we do see All Might think about who could possibly be his teacher. Mm-hmm. And as he looks out into the distance, thinking like, I don't want to think about that.
No. I had to take a picture of this because this was adorable.
Oh, yeah, his little sign on his door. But we do get to see like his mom kind of cooking in the kitchen, and like she kind of like looks towards his door, I think worried because of what he had just been through, pretty much. And
address it.
Say again?
She doesn't really know how to address it. How do you like even talk to him or try to like sympathize or even try to give him some support when she's not a hero? She's never fought villains before. She has no idea what that's going to feel like.
She has never had to like stand and face off against her possible death, pretty much, which is what Deku just went through. And I love that Deku, like, during this time of like, just seriously had a life or death moment. So what does he do? His comfort food is watching All Might save the day again. That same video that he watches over and over and over again. I saw that with Dana saying. Yeah,
I was like, he's gonna have a glittery door. I like that he was like going over everything. Another recap of stuff that's going on, but in Deku fashion, where he's trying to absorb information and how to process it and then move forward with it. One of the good things is that he takes it in for analysis and then like computes on how I'm going to deal with this later on when it comes up again. The whole time he's just like trying to get himself as physically fit as possible. So.
Yep, he does a great job, I think, like trying to take it all in, as you said, and really kind of process it and bring it forward. Yeah. Okay. Before we jump back to the class, I do want to say, like, there's a great scene of his mom making him food. Mm-hmm. And as we'll get, I think later in the series, we get these splash screens in between of like kind of breakdown character sheets. And we learn that Deku's favorite food is a pork cutlet bowl. So what does his mom make for him for dinner after the night that he suffered at the hands of these villains and whatnot? She makes him a pork cutlet bowl. And I thought that was the cutest freaking thing.
I didn't catch that, so that's actually I just was like, oh, okay, food, so it'll work. But that's also
the char siu bowl is ingrained in my mind as Deku's favorite thing because first off, it's delicious, and secondly, like I love Deku, so like I know his favorite food. So when his mom made his favorite food, I was like, oh, so cute.
We get to the classroom and some fun because they have like they're kind of talking and hanging out, and there's like a running joke now because Toru, I know her name. The invisible girl is hoping to be seen because she's invisible and it's kind of like a running thing. Yeah. And I feel really bad because she's bonded with Ojiro because they were partners in the First Soul thing. So she's like, hey, she's talking to everybody about watching the news. And then she's like, did you see, like, I didn't stand out very well. And Shoji and him both don't know how to answer that. They're like, well, maybe you could do something. I didn't stand out at all.
Did you get the shot of the crowd where it's just her gloves? It's great.
And they're like, oh, that's true. And he's sweating because he doesn't know how to answer this poor girl's question. And Shoji's just blunt. And then I think they showed the clip. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love this because half the time they show all of the kids of My Hero, I forget she's there too. Because I have to look for the floating gloves, and that's all we get of her all the time. And it's always drawn in there. But it's always like, where are the floating gloves? I always forget. It's like, if I was looking at this shot very quickly, like in the anime, if I wasn't looking that this was being told from the perspective of the invisible girl, I wouldn't be looking for the gloves. I wouldn't have seen it there either.
Yeah. It's just nice to go and point out side characters again. They do a good job of like recapping, like, hey, like these characters are still kind of in it, and this is what they're feeling too, it was cute.
I want to point out Mina completely like just passed out on the desk back there. That's all.
Yeah. This one's like she's like twirling them. It's like how you would twirl hair is like when you go as a girl, and I always thought that was kind of interesting, and like all the conversations that they're having because they're all interacting with each other on different levels, different friendships, everything that's happening and going on, talking about everything being made a big deal of, just their interactions was really cute.
And I loved how much Jiro absolutely serves Kaminari throughout this whole thing about how dumb he becomes when he uses his powers sometimes.
Oh yeah, because they're making fun of Light of it. They're making a big deal out of it, and she just straight up says, "It is a big deal. You guys need to realize that." And so, funny. And then Sarah was just trying to make communication, and the next one is Mineta freaking out because he freaks out a lot during this thing because he was so scared.
It's just thinking about it, making me wet myself.
And then this part made me laugh because Bakugo is like, just shut up. He's like, he can't handle them chatting about it so much. And poor Midoriya is scared for him. I think he probably flinches every time, even though Bakugo's not yelling at him.
I think he flinches every time Bakugo is yelling in general because he thinks he's yelling directly at him. And it probably surprises him even further when it's not about him whatsoever.
Oh, and they were talking about All Might and how great he was at fighting and everything. Every time I took a picture of the bird guy, his eyes were closed too, by the way. Every screenshot, I think his eyes are closed. I'm like, dang it.
He'll get it one day. It's fine. I love this. Ida trying to get everybody to settle down and get in your seats and yada, yada, yada. And then I think you probably even have it. Oh, no. But there's a shot where it's like him standing in the front and yelling at everybody, and everybody's in their seats being like, we're already in our seats and we're already waiting.
And they already say, you're the only one not in your seat. And then he comes in there and he's like, shoot. He's like, realizes that he was like way behind.
Yep.
And the two most peaceful characters are both like, oh, it's okay.
It's super cute. And they're all guessing to see who their substitute teacher is going to be because Aizawa's been critically injured. They heard all the crazy stuff about him.
Mm-hmm. I think that, yeah. And she like lays back and Froppy's like, whoa. So it's like very, very cute.
Yep. So you go. Mr. Aizawa was supposed to be in the hospital recovering from his injuries, but Mummy Aizawa enters the fray.
The way he says morning during this time too is completely like he would say it normally. like just like, I'm here.
Yep. He doesn't care. He barely acts at all like to his injury or anything whatsoever.
This sentence made me laugh because, like, how can you be too much of a pro? Like,
I think his way of saying you're doing too much. Like, you're trying to be too pro, so you're here when you should clearly be at home resting. But you're not.
Stoked because it's manly. What he's doing.
Exactly. That is Kirishima's whole steed right there. Mm-hmm. It's great.
I like that Ochako's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And Ida's raising his hand like before he even gets in the room to ask him if he's okay.
I know. My well-being doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Poor Aizawa. Your well-being matters to me, man, okay?
And then he tells him, he's like, I have an announcement to make before we do anything. And they all are freaking out that there's going to be a fight. They think they're going to go back to battle. And Mineta's having PTSD, basically, like on this new level, like, oh my god, we're gonna go back to villains, and It's just the UA Sports Festival.
The little slits of his eyes are so intense. Well, hey, the UA Sports Festival, as we'll learn here, is a very, very big deal. It's replaced the Olympics pretty much for all of Japan, so it's huge.
And then so they're still talking about, is it even okay to have it because they just got attacked. And then Aizawa, I don't know if I got all the slides for it because he went into a very spiel about it. Yeah, it won't be canceled due to a couple of villains. I mean, they're going to have all the pros there looking for new sidekicks and everything.
They're increasing defenses by 5 times. And they even talked about how they didn't want to cancel it because it shows that if they keep it going on, it shows that they're confident that they can take care of the students, kind of thing.
Yeah.
This great view of the ring to come that we will see and get very acquainted with in episodes soon.
And this is going on about why it's important for them to show off their best, because they want to be sidekicks and join a pro agency and everything like that. And I believe this is the Jiro dig after this.
Yes, a lot of people missed their chance to become independent after that and become eternal sidekicks, though.
And she says, like you, because you're dumb. And I was like, oh.
It stings them. It stings them so bad. After, if we were to go back and talk about how at the start of episode 13, when they were confronted with that electrical quirk villain, she starts talking about how electrical quirk people are pretty much born with a golden spoon in their mouth, pretty much. Like, because they can, if they don't become a hero, they could work in so many different industries. Like, it's such like a hot demand quirk that, like, if you have electricity as a quirk, like, you were basically you're the golden goose.
Yeah.
And so, like, for her to do like a complete 180 just for Kaminari, because when he overextends himself, he becomes a complete idiot. I think this kind of shows a little bit of that whole like crush mentality that these two kind of have with each other that I fully embrace. I love these two playing off of each other. And it's cute. I think it's super cute. Oh, Best Jeanist.
Yes, I only saved that one. They had 3 other people, I think, during this one. I was like, I'll just keep Jeanist right there. They're talking about famous people coming. And
who else do they show? Oh, they showed Endeavor, Best Jeanist, and
there's another one in the middle. It's the like ninja Ronin guy that I never know.
Yes. Damn, he shows up a couple of times in Vigilantes in that manga, and I'm trying to think of who that is. Because of the S. You haven't seen the new movie yet, but
no,
they talk about him in that movie too,
yeah.
Because he's like one of the little kids that they meet. It's his favorite hero, so they talk about him a bunch.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. There you go. Sets up pretty much. I think this is the thing hanging over the sports festival to come. It's like if you expect to go pro, your path is defined pretty much at this event that's about to take place. Like, what you do here is going to set the course for your entire future. So we see all of the kids kind of react big to this.
Yeah. And I remember he's excited. I remember thinking about this too when I first watched it, and I was like, how it would like kind of go into like the whole X-Men kind of universe, and if they had that opportunity to be show that they could use their powers for good and what they actually could do instead of the negative stigma behind it. So I really liked the idea that here's a chance for you to actually show what you can do in a like constructive environment that's like regulated and everything. It was really neat.
The one big difference, clearly, I like to say that this is the X-Men of anime all the time, but there's a huge difference where, 85% of this world, if you were to consider this the X-Men universe, you're saying that 85% of the Marvel universe are mutants. That is, in the very beginning of X-Men, that's what they say the future is going to be like, but they end up clearly not going that way because, in the Marvel universe, we have Avengers and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
This universe, it is, I think it's more accepted because, you get like people like Deku's mom who can maybe kind of move stuff across the room sometimes, but she still has her mutant quirk ability pretty much. So it's accepted. Whereas it's not about acceptance in the way that X-Men is. So it doesn't have that side to it. But you're absolutely right. Like, if the X-Men got a chance to show practically what they could do, we would get, Avengers coming out of the X-Men school.
Again, eyes closed. I was like, I can't with him.
This is an ongoing thing. I love it.
Yeah. And
they do say that there's 3 times that they get to show their chances. Like, and I'm wondering what those 3 are. I know 2. I don't know what the 3rd one is.
Well, I think they get 3 sports festivals because they only have 3 years of high school.
You're absolutely right. That's what it is. Yes, you're right. I always forget the Japanese high school is 3 years. They have the extra year in middle school. Correct. What a great shot. No head, no hands, just clothes.
Yeah, and she's just like, again, she's just trying so hard to like stand out, and she's like going through all this stuff. I feel so bad for Jiro. He's just like, I don't know what you want me to say, like the entire time. Oh,
You know what, I will say, just like you, when you're doing the screenshots for these things,
yeah.
I too, Dan, you're in all of our heads. I think of you now every time Oyama comes up and does ridiculous bullshit like this. Who's like, what are they going to do? I just stand out just by standing still. Everyone's going to be focused on me. I don't know. How am I going to, not be the center of attention and let some of you guys get it? It's like, oh my God, I thought of, Dan the whole time.
Bunch of poses too, like the next one, you go to the next slide. It's just like, it's ridiculous.
I love the Charlie's Angel one.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the high school yearbook shot. So good. So good.
I think he'll stand out too. And she just has to jab him one more time on this poor thing.
Was that her first time seeing his yay?
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah. That's good. Oh, poor Kaminari. He's getting called calamari on this show. He's getting served by Jiro. Oh, this is amazing because his dance was ridiculous. It was
Yeah, he was so fired up because when he said, even though he has the greatest hand movements that ever existed, and then he's like this, like in the smallest box that he could dance in that I could ever see.
Caught like there.
Yeah.
It was really funny. James points out Jiro's cute puffy cheek in this shot. I love this because of that. This is just an iconic shot, I think, of Ochako.
Mm-hmm. There's ever a really cool faceplate that I need, again, Android reference, it would be this one. It'd be really cool.
We have talked about this on numerous occasions that I love the Ochako Nendoroid, but they dropped the ball by not including a serious faceplate. And this right here is the perfect one to do because it incorporates everything about Ochako. When she's getting fired up about thinking about doing her best at the sports festival, when she faces off against her opponents at the sports festival, this face is perfect for it. It's like, I want it.
And she's just like, their reactions to it too. And like Mina's saying this because she's like kind of going through it. And then the glasses thing. That's what I do when I'm trying to look at something. I'm not going to help anything, but his like trying to like zoom in too. Like, what's wrong with her?
I see. It's funny because I saw it more. I don't wear glasses, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Ochako in this scene is clearly glowing, right? I mean, I don't know if she's actually glowing in real life, but I'm taking it as, in anime and manga, if a character glows like this, the other characters are seeing it too. So I feel like he's trying to like get the reflection off of his glasses by kind of like moving them around to kind of see her better, is the way I always saw
it. He's just trying to figure out what the heck is going wrong with her.
Yeah.
It's completely out of character for what they've seen so far. And then
this is my favorite moment of the episode. I'm going to say it now, right here.
I could have got it in like stills for like him being like super oblivious, and he's gonna say this very inappropriate term for why she's all of a sudden acting it, and Froppy does not miss a beat for slapping him in the face.
It's such a cutaway moment to they just do this thing where Mineta hasn't even said anything, but he's about to, and Froppy knows it, and it's just she's still looking at Ochako here clearly. And yet her tongue just like fucking whaps him. Oh, yeah. Just like take that. Boom. It's great. Get that in, folks. He doesn't even care anymore. Like at this point, he's just used to it. He's like, I guess this is Tuesday.
Yes. And then we talked about this earlier, but I really think it's like that flip switch, because it has like a kid thing when you get really excited about something and you just like are intense, like the way, not as bad, but when Bakugo gets into like that like hates Deku kind of moment, this is what it reminds me of, that intense like making faces that you would not normally see on this character, because she is so determined to do her best during this.
Do you have the one where she approaches the other group too? Oh, no. Okay, because she goes to this group, and then she turns and does the exact same face to the other half of the class, and they react the same way. They're like, whoa, they're like, yay, like they don't know how to react to this because it's such a change of character for her, or so we think, right? We just haven't gotten enough time with Ochako yet to really realize how passionate she is about things, and we get a little bit of that coming up. Like Deku runs to her, basically being like, he's like, I never asked her why she wanted to become a hero. So this is him asking her straight out, like, why did you decide to come to UA to become a pro? But it's not. It sounds so wrong, but it's not. And I think actually Ida puts it so blankly. Like he's like, it's not wrong. Do you have that screen too? You probably do. I'm not even going to bring that up until it happens.
And she's like thinking it's simple, and she's like super nervous about it. But they have like all this cute like coloring coming behind her because it's actually really adorable that she thinks it's just like that's just my reason.
Yep.
And she's like going on about how admirable they are, and then Ida very bluntly, how is having a goal to be supportive of yourself and your livelihood not admirable?
And it's funny because like this is such a true statement on his face. But also, we'll learn that Ochako, it goes beyond that. She wants to take care of her family more than anything else. It's like, but Ida makes such a good point. Like, yeah, it's okay to desire money, to desire a profession, a goal, a dream of making money, because it's like we live in a capitalistic society, right? It's like the only way how you're going to succeed in life is, you need to have a roof over your head. You need to be able to support yourself. You need to be able to do this and that. And yeah, it can be looked upon so negatively sometimes, but Ida's like, how is it not admirable for your goal to support your livelihood? Like it's fine. It's like, it's a normal thing. But Ochako takes it even further, like with just like how admirable it actually is in her respect.
Yeah, and then Midoriya is like, right, but it's unexpected for her because he was assuming just like himself that she would have like this great desire, great dream. She wouldn't have such a, and this thing. She's so,
she's so cute. She's the cutest. That's a good t-shirt, actually.
Yeah, I love that she says super on her little sweater too, because she's like wants to be a superhero.
Well, they talk about before even this flashback starts that her parents are construction workers, and the construction working industry or at least their company has dried up. And so Deku even mentions, he's like, well, with her power, oh my God, they'd be able to save so much money. They could lift all this crazy heavy stuff. But I also was thinking, and I don't know if any of this is true. I don't know what her parents' powers are, but usually the kids' powers are a reflection on the parents. So I would think that her dad must have some kind of floaty power, or her mom, or his mom does, or some kind of combination of the two of them together must have something similar. So I wonder what their powers actually are.
Well, because her power like stops or changes gravity, it turns it to zero, and that's why maybe her dad does the opposite, which does not help.
Makes things really dense.
Yeah, maybe he just breaks stuff, so it might.
Well, then he would never need a hammer. He could just make nails really dense, and they hammer themselves in.
Yeah.
Like, boom, going down.
Yeah, so maybe you never know. She's just so cute, and all these I had to like take.
I appreciate that you got all these. It's super cute, and the parents are super great. I love her family. We'll get a little bit more of them this season. It's just they are so warm and accepting of Ochako, and they're like, you don't have to think about us. We're okay. You pursue your own dreams. But that makes her want to help them out more because they're so welcoming and they're so supportive of her.
And you can see that the dad has been working hard because they even drew in like the anime, like he's obviously been, and they're playing like they're not exactly like super extravagant heroes of any kind.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. She just, and they even say like, oh yeah, you can become a hero and then take us to Hawaii. Yeah. And she's like, no, I want to become a hero so you guys can like chill out for the rest of your life kind of thing.
Yeah, she mentions it later. It's just like I want them, for my parents to take it easy, like not have to worry about everything that's going on.
Clearly, they've worked very hard her entire life, and she just wants to do something for them. This is such a realistic take. Again, one of those things about the world that Horikoshi has built. It's like even though there's quirks and all this stuff, there's families having a tough time, and there's the kids that grow up in those households that just want to help out the family, help out the parents, and I just respect it. I love that side of this.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't get it like in action of what's going on, but I rewatched it like 4 or 5 times of the way that Ida just like straight just celebrates her. And I wanted this episode to be called Bravo Ochako, like just like instead of like I don't remember what it's even called because it's not as good. So
and he repeats this. It's funny because like over the course they'll keep talking for a little bit, but in the background as you hear like Izuku kind of like continue to discuss like I think it's really his narrator voice, if anything. But through the whole narrator voice, you hear Ida going, Ochako, bravo, bravo, Ochako. And he's clapping his own hands above his head. And he's just so proud of her. It is a freaking adorable moment.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, and this is a really good statement too, because it's a good lesson for him is that she's not just setting this huge dream and huge goal and huge aspiration. She's actually taking reality into consideration, and that might be something that Midoriya really hadn't thought about.
Yes.
What's going on in my life? What am I going to do with my quirk? Where do I want to go? What's going to happen like to my mom? Like
to this point, he hasn't really been considering his mom in any of this. I mean, he hasn't told her about his quirk. She clearly knows he has something. There's something up because, you know, I think at this point he might have mentioned that he just manifested it late or something like that. But I don't know. Clearly it's not can move small things from across the room or can breathe fire like his dad, which is, again, crazy power. Love this entrance scene. All Might has the best entrances of any show, manga, movie, whatever. Always great.
It's like one extreme to the other.
Yeah, I was like, because it's all three of them still hanging out. It's Ida, Ochako, and Midoriya. And he's like, young Midoriya is here. I think he says, Midoriya Shonen is here. And it's great. Because then it just cuts down to like him peeking around the corner and like, want to eat together?
Yeah. I think the next... she was laughing and turned, like, I was like crazy.
I laughed really hard when this scene happened. Like this is up there with my moment of the episode. It's just like the whole Ochako calling him a maiden because he's being so dainty around the corner holding a lunch. Because you have to imagine in this world that All Might is freaking gigantic. So for him to be holding up a tiny little bento box in like a little napkin is what I believe that is. It's like it just must look so cute. Yeah, Creation Odyssey. I love his bento. Me too.
Got bunnies on it. It was really cute.
Is it bunnies? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's so cute.
And then, and I like how Midoriya checks with them first. He's like, "Are you guys okay if I go have lunch with my hero? like let's go do this." And how Ida just gives him like a nod, like, "Of course." Like they have that close friendship already. It was really, really cool.
Did you get the scene of Ida talking about it in the cafeteria?
Yes.
Oh yeah, here we go. I wonder what you want with Deku. And I love how like the people behind them all have very physical quirks. It's not just like random kids. It's like no. This dude is like half. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Sitting behind him, I don't even know. I don't know what any of those three people that we're actually getting a small taste of right now. What their abilities are. Ridiculous.
I like that he does like the arms during the whole entire conversation too.
Always. This is all I'm going to be doing. Once the Nendo comes out, I'm just going to be doing poses like this. Because he has joints, I could actually pose him. Like Tamura today, when I was trying to pose him, he couldn't pose at all.
He's talking about Midoriya rushing out, and so that must be why he needs to talk to him, because they're trying to figure out where the hell All Might would ever want anything to do with Deku.
Yep. So. But then they also reference back to this scene right here. where Froppy, the most knowledgeable of anybody, being like, your quirk is like All Might's.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone is listening in. And this plays out this season too. It's funny because I know exactly what he's thinking, and we won't get that on the show yet. But it's funny to think about where he connects the dots in this story. And I started laughing when he was overhearing this stuff because I know what he thinks about it, and it's great.
It was like you were talking about good parenting. Like this is like he's a great example of the opposite side later on.
Oh, the far opposite side. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh, this made me laugh too because he's talking about how he only has 50 minutes left, but you decided to go run and find Midoriya around the hallway with your bento. It's waste your time for the day.
Worth it. Worth it. For that one scene with his little bento box hanging around the corner, worth it. Oops, I went the wrong way. There you go.
He's talking about how Nomu was very tough. He shouldn't have overexerted. Well, he had to. He had to overexert himself, but
otherwise kids would have died. Yeah.
Yes.
If there's one thing to say about the end of All Might's tenure with the One for All, is that every minute that he overextends himself and cuts the time on it is used wisely, I think. Like, every moment is worth it. And to the point where, I feel like at the end of it all, if he were to, look back, he would see that in himself.
Yeah.
So he cut it in half, which is devastating, just by pushing himself that little bit further.
That's crazy. Oh, this is where Midoriya was trying to apologize, and then he just freaks
He's
out.
like, don't apologize! And he's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Thank God it's anime blood and it doesn't actually land on the table or anything like that, because that would ruin that wonderful little cup of tea he made Midoriya.
Yeah, which I didn't. Oh, and this is what he's like, you don't have to apologize, and he starts talking about how he reminds him of himself. And then he switches back into mentor mode, which is talking about One for All and his using it. And he's like, well, you still can't regulate it. And, but there was that one time. So he talks about the time he punched Nomu and it didn't give him anything. This was cute.
That's a great face.
Yes.
Oh!
Just I love
it's funny that's in English too. It's not in Japanese.
I think it's because it's him. Because that's one of the things. The yeah from Present Mike was in English too. So I think some things, yeah.
Well, yeah, some words they very much say in English. Anytime that All Might says shit, it's always in English. That's fantastic. Oh, went the wrong way.
Yeah, and he's trying to contemplate why he couldn't do it. But the biggest difference was that he was using it on an actual person versus a robot or baseball and everything else like that. And also, I think, I don't remember if All Might actually thinks about it, but he's like, oh, you did it subconsciously.
Yeah, he does that. Yeah, he says you unconsciously regulated your own ability pretty much, which makes sense, which kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't. Because if you think about it, if he regulated himself to not use 100%, yet he wanted to use 100%, because he said that he used 100%, and it didn't blow up.
I think because I missed it when he was 13 was talking about her quirk being used to save people, but it also could kill somebody. And I think Midoriya innately, unconsciously, will never look to actually do that final harm on someone. So that's what it meant. He went 100%, but it wasn't going to be enough to kill something because that's not in him.
Yeah. Oh, this is such a sad moment. Frankly, they don't have much time left as a symbol of peace.
He's trying to confirm that he still believes that he can be and wants to be his mentee. Replacement,
yeah. Mm-hmm. The new symbol of peace. This is such a big task for All Might to put on Deku, what he does here. When rewatching this, I was like, because I know this is what happens, because again, like I said, I rewatched the sports festival a lot. So what he says to him here comes up a bunch in the sports festival, how this conversation weighs on Deku and really pushes him to really try hard in the next couple of episodes that we're going to get. Yeah. But man, this is a rough thing because he can't even control his power. And this guy's like, the time has come for you to show you want to fill my shoes. here's what you got to do.
Yeah, he invites him for lunch and just like lays out the like career path for him at 14. It's crazy.
Yeah, the Creation Odyssey says like kind of bugs me. He doesn't teach him more at this point, and that's exactly it. It's like there's no real teaching going on. It's more like all right, I'm gonna watch what you're doing. I'm gonna say good job if you're doing a good job. That's the extent of basically what's going on.
It's like Froppy was saying, he still needs notes in class. Like he still hasn't quite grasped the idea of making. It's just crazy.
Yep.
I want you to tell the world I am here. And Midoriya's like, I can barely like not break my arms. Like, what do you want me to do?
Impossible task. Impossible. Oh, and then we get my favorite ending. We were talking about this before. It's just beautiful artwork throughout this ending. Also, great song to kind of go with it. And, we were talking about how you get to, we spend so much time with the boys of Class 1A that it's nice to see the girls get a little bit of the spotlight and just kind of like see their friendship kind of.
Yeah. They have their own adventures. Like earlier on when they had their own conversations, like everybody's interacting. They're all going home to their houses and their parents and kind of talking to them about everything. We only get to really see Midoriya's main story, so it's kind of nice every now and again to get a peek into what everybody else is doing.
That's why I'm always excited whenever there's the anime-only episodes, because they do give you, all right, well, during this thing that we'll get to much later, here is what these kids were up to, because we didn't cover that in the manga at all, because we're just following Midoriya. Yeah. So we get a whole episode of some of these other characters doing other things. There'll be a work study class. We get to follow Froppy to her work study class, which is not canon in the book at all, but we get it in the show, and it's a great episode. And it's like it's kind of stands out in a way because you kind of get to like learn a little bit more about these kids. We got a Momo episode, we got a Froppy episode. We're a week away from potentially. Still haven't been anything announced here in the States about these new OVAs that are coming out. We might be getting more stuff next weekend that will fill in more gaps of stuff that we haven't seen before. So, but I love all these scenes.
I like to think that they're training together because like they're kind of like getting ready for everything. A lot of them are in their actual super suits and everything like that.
Yeah, they're all wearing their hero costumes.
Mm-hmm. And kind of why her going into her whole character, like her intensity and her need to make that life decision for her parents and what she needs to do and kind of all that pressure that's on her. This like really shows like a lot more for Otako too.
And you get a picture of her parents. You get her little piggy bank. You could tell, she's trying to save money kind of thing. I don't know. I think her room sums her up really well. What a great scene. That one. I just love the way all of this stuff is drawn. I just love it. There's such like a looseness to it, yet it's very full of emotion. The line work is very nice and light. I think Dan said it's filler done right, the anime-only episodes, and I absolutely agree. Yeah, all of these are poster-worthy things. This is the shot that I was talking about earlier with you that I love. Deku is smiling, and everybody else is like, let's catch up to the girls. But Deku's like, I'm fine back here. Let the girls run. Oh, Jiro's just skipping. I love it. Oh, went the wrong way again.
And then this was like the lighter My Hero thing. I liked the color scheme on this because it's very, very red or yellow or anything like that. So it's nice to see, especially for the ending when they kind of.
They had a very cherry blossom motif during this finishing credits for this first half of the season that I really liked. I don't know. It really kind of, we're going to get into some very serious, high octane stuff coming up. So this will be a nice refreshing end to each episode. It's like there's a lightness to this show too kind of thing, which is really great.
Yeah.
I love that.
And there was a comment in the chat about their strong relationship between the girls while the guys are still sizing each other up, which is very true because they're kind of building that trust and teamwork while the boys are still like, we're going to hit each other.
Yep. So we get a little preview about what's to come. So we'll go through this preview since we're going to be taking a week break in case you missed that at the start of the episode. We'll be taking next week off and we'll be joining back in August 22nd. And this is what we'll be dealing with is the start of the sports festival.
And these little T's in there too.
Yep. Shinso, which is great. I think that's this is what we end on right there. I could tell that your episode was about to start when we shot this one. So the Roaring Sports Festival. So, what's favorite moments from this episode?
It's gonna be the Bravo. I love it. I was like, I forgot it happened, and like when it did, I was like, oh, perfect.
It's a very good one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I made a note about my favorite. I think I said it in the middle of the episode, but I forgot what it was. I mean, I love Aizawa showing up as a mummy. That was great.
Oh yeah.
Deku getting his mom cooking him a pork cutlet bowl, which I think might be what I order tonight for dinner. Once we get out of here, either that or ramen because I love ramen. Yeah, really good. I don't know. We're starting off season 2 right now. I think it's a good breaking spot for a week, for an extra week, because it's like a little taste of what's to come. We had a big run up to this moment. We got a lot of stuff to cover, and boy, we're gonna have a lot more to cover when we reconvene in 2 weeks. So
a lot of Bakugo coming.
A lot of Bakugo, a lot more Ochako. You get more Deku exploring his powers, getting different. A lot of Shoto, this is the season that really made me really intrigued with Shoto Todoroki. Yeah. We learn a lot more about his past. We learn his parentage. So good stuff coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Chef Tortilla as well. When you order ramen noodles, are the noodles at least separate? Yes, the noodles are separate. They separate those when you do delivery. They don't give you the soup. Otherwise, man, that stuff would be a mess. It actually comes okay. I will tell you, when you order in ramen, they do a good job separating this stuff well. Oh my God, James said, I never watched the movie. You should watch both of them. We will cover, I think, Steph and I haven't talked about this in detail, but I think we should do a separate episode, a special episode just for the films at some point. Second film hasn't even come out here in the States yet.
No, I just pre-ordered it on Amazon because it is
Me too. October, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at least we'll have that soon. I've seen it a couple times already, but I'm dying to watch it again. But you've seen the first one, right?
Yes, I know that one.
But I think we'll cover that as it happens organically in the show, which is towards the end of season 3, I think, right?
Yes.
So
I think, yeah.
The bento moment, Grace honestly said that's her favorite moment of this past episode. It's definitely one of mine too. That was up there with, I'm trying to think of what the first moment was. You know what? Maybe I'll just make that my moment because that's the one I can think about now. That's a good one. It's so good. Christy and I only saw the second one in theaters. Yeah. Oh, so you didn't see the first one, Dan? Both are available to rent on Amazon. The second one shouldn't be available. Or is it? If so.
If it is,
yeah, I'm going to watch that tonight. Screw Academy. Because I love that movie. It's good. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us for these first 5 episodes where we covered season 1. We'll be back for all of season 2 in 2 weeks. So thank you again for joining in. Thank you for joining us week to week. Saturday night, 7 o'clock. It's been fun.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. Yeah. Have a good night.
Have a great night and a great rest of your weekend, folks. Plus Ultra.